Hello, welcome on Focus. I have Scott Owen with me. Scott, as always, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me here.
So we've had some crazy weather the last couple of days. I know we've had storms and severe thunderstorms, and we've had tornadoes and all that stuff. So maybe tell us what you guys do when we have severe weather.
Sure. The department has plans in place for different types of events. If we have severe weather, such as a thunderstorm, the shift commander typically monitors the radar. They kind of check to see what's coming, what potentially is coming. The crews are pretty well aware of the situation, and we respond out to normal calls, just like we always do. If it's up to a tornado warning, then we disperse. So when I say disperse, it's not keeping all of our eggs in the same basket. So we send an engine over towards APAC on 14th Street, acute post care, and we send one up to the hospital, an ambulance. So at least we have those out in case something were to hit the station. We've still got responding units other places. In the event of down power lines, trees, whatever, we will go out if we're paged out. We'll secure the area until utilities can get there. I know this past storm, one of our shift commanders received a phone call from a citizen saying that we needed to go over and cut the trees that are leaning above her house. She was in Door County, couldn't get home, and he told her very politely, sorry, we don't do that. And there's a reason we don't do that. If we cut that tree the wrong way and it falls onto the house and causes damage, now the city is liable for that, and it's a safety issue. That's what arborists are for. That's what the forestry people are experts in. We don't ask them to come and fight our fires. We don't go and cut their trees. So that's the type of stuff we do. We had several instances where the crews were dispatched out to arcing power lines down, and there's really nothing we can do until utility gets there. And utilities was swamped. They're still swamped across central Wisconsin. Marshfield Utilities did a great job. I know that there were some people that weren't happy because their power was out for, a few hours. Well, now we look at Rapids, Plover, Point, they're still without power. But utilities does a very good job here. We're very lucky. The brunt of the storm, although it seemed like we were getting hit really hard, and we were. The brunt of the storm was definitely to the south and to the east. And I was talking with one of the dispatchers from Wood County Communications, and they had impassable roads pretty much from the get-go of the storm down in Rapids. He was telling us in a training session that we recently had, they normally take about 275 phone calls a day for service. It can be anything. In the period on Saturday from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m., they took over 450 calls in that 3 hours with 3 dispatchers on. He said from 10:30 to 11 was the bulk of the calls. And they took 200 calls in that half hour. He said, when the calls first started coming in, they were writing down the name, the address, what's going on. We'll try and get utilities. They'd try and call. And shortly after, they realized, because every phone was lit up, every phone was in use. Shortly after that, they said, are you injured? Is there a fire? Nope, call your utilities. And hung up on them because they had so many calls. People calling on the non-emergency lines didn't even get answered because they couldn't get off the 911 lines. They had calls being diverted to Portage County, to Lincoln County, and it was crazy. People just really need to be patient in these types of stories. It's nothing that we ask for. It happens. And it's things, even here at the station, if we lose power, we do have a backup generator, so we can power things. And to my knowledge, nobody called the station or came to the station to say, hey, can I charge this? Can I plug this? I don't know that they did. I hadn't heard anything, but I do know many fire stations opened up and continue to open up for those that don't have power to charge phones, medical devices if they need to be plugged in, or whatever. So yeah, it was pretty chaotic. I want to say in a 24-hour period between Friday and Saturday, our crews went on 20 calls, 22 calls in that 24-hour period. Which that's a lot of calls for a crew to run.
That's like a call every hour.
Yep, that's not sleeping at night.
Wow.
That's just continually running. You get done with a call, you probably no more than get back to the station, get out of the rig, and you're going again.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Now, majority of them were ambulance calls, but I think we had 5 or 6 fire responses for down lines or fire alarms going off. Bigby Coffee, DLB building. We guessed that their electrical system, the electrical panel in the back, was hit by lightning, so it knocked out power to that building for a day or two. We had street lights that were hit by lightning, took out different components, and it's really it was a crazy storm.
And I want to go back to something you had said before. You talked about calling for trees that were on power lines or whatever. We recently had a tragic incident happen down in Rapids, Vesper area. He was a telephone, he was a utilities worker, and so he knew what he was doing. He was a professional, and he got seriously injured. And I heard that he can't walk, his spine is broken or fractured, whatever. Remind our viewers what you should do if something, you may think that never will ever happen, but I'm sure they thought the same thing. Sure. Tell our viewers what you should and should not do if something like that would happen.
Yeah, so in that instance, fractured his spine. And our deepest sympathies go out to the family. He's got a long road ahead of him. The whole family does, and spinal injuries are touchy. If you come across someone who is complaining that their neck hurts, their back really hurts, and they were involved in a fall or an accident or something where there's a reason why it hurts, you're best off to not move them. Leave them in the position that they're in and call for help. Once the ambulance gets there, we have procedures in place to put people on backboards to keep their spine nice and straight, get them up to the emergency room, and then one of the first things they do when they get to the emergency room is they go into x-ray. If x-ray deems that it's all good, doesn't look like anything's broken, the doctor may or may not take them off the board right away. It kind of depends. If there is something going on back there that's questionable, they'll leave them on the board and do further testing. But for the general public, you're best off to leave them where they are. If they're in a car and they're complaining of neck and back pain, just leave them in the car. Unless the car is on fire or there's some type of imminent hazard associated with it, leave them in place. When we get there, we will do everything that we can to stabilize their spine, to keep it in the neutral position, and get them to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine with something like that. I just can't imagine something like that happening.
No, that was a horrible accident that was a direct result of this storm. Which is sad.
Something that Mother Nature, she does not care.
Right.
Something freak like that.
Yep, exactly.
And if you're interested in helping the family, they have a GoFundMe set up. Make sure you check out our On Focus page.